Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Russian Tier 10 premium tank destroyer, the SU-152 Taran. Now this is a tank destroyer that you can get for 22,500 gold, which is just crazy, or 24,000 with the highest bundle I think it is. That's absolutely crazy pricing. Like, before we even go into the review, there is no tank that's worth that much gold. It's just absolutely crazy pricing. Why this tank isn't 450,000 free XP is absolutely beyond me, because pretty much every other tier 10 premium tank is 450,000 free XP, and 22,000 is just nuts. I don't understand why they did that, but they did. And yeah, the SU-152 Taran, before we go into all the stats, I think it's a very, very good tank destroyer. It's absolutely solid, and it's mainly because of this gun. This gun is absolutely insane. There is no other way around it. It's absolutely insane, and I don't understand why it is like it is. So, without further ado, it's got 303 AP pen and 395 heat pen, which is the same as the 268 and the 268 version 5. Well, it's the same gun as the 268 version 5, but they've randomly given it 950 alpha, which, as you can imagine, is absolutely insane. By the way, 90 HE pen for 1200 is not bad as well. That's pretty nice when you're shooting at FE 4005s and stuff like that. You get a big amount of damage off on them. But yeah, like, I don't understand why it's got 950 hit points, because it's absolutely filthy. Or 950 damage, I should say. When you hit things, you can roll for a 1,000 plus quite easily, and I don't understand why it's got 950 alpha. It's just, that's one of the things about this tank that is kind of broken, is the fact it's got 950 alpha and it's got a great reload. It's absolutely dirty. It's the best way of putting it. It's absolutely dirty. So it's got 1,850 hit points, which is a fair amount for a TD. It's got no armor, so having that slab of hit points is kind of nice. It's got 63 km/h top speed. Don't believe that, because it doesn't really it very rarely hits 63 km/h unless you're doing on a downslope or on flat ground, and you've been going on flat ground for a wee while. So don't believe that 63 km/h top speed. It's got 390 vision range as well, which is really good for a TD. That means it's not blind, which means if you put coated optics on it and have situational awareness, you can have nearly 500 meters view range, which is wonderful. It means you're going to spot everything. Add to that, you've got 0.3 camo, which is filthily good, and you put a camo net on that, you can have that down to some ridiculous levels. And trust me, the camo on this tank is absolutely crazy. It just is. It's absolutely nuts. So, it's got a 3.26 rate of fire with 950 alpha. With that pen, which means it's an 18.4 base reload, I can get that down to about 14 seconds. Is it 14 seconds? Yeah, about 14 seconds, or 13.4 seconds, something like that. It's filthy. Absolutely filthy. The 2.7 aim time is not great. The 0.37 accuracy for a TD, especially one that like this that is going to be playing at more of a distance, is again not great, but with 6.0 skills and all that sort of stuff, you can have that accuracy down to like nearly 0.3. So that doesn't matter as much. You've got 5 degrees of gun depression, which isn't great, but again, you're playing it at fairly long range. Pick your spots and you'll be alright. 5 degrees is a bit awkward at times, but hey, it's Soviet, right? It's got a big gun. Soviet tanks tend to have that, unfortunately. Armour, yes, armour. 30mm of turret armour on the front, 15 on the side, and 10 on the rear. Yeah, it has absolutely no armour. It's actually 30mm of armour pretty much all round, except for a log on the back that has like 200mm because of Russia. It's got no armour. This is a HE-able target. HE this tank. If you have HE, get it in, because it's going to slap you, and you want to slap it back. This thing is so easy to pen with HE, just do it. Tusks, artillery, they love this thing, they go for it every time. And for good reason, because it has 0 armour. It's just easy to pen. It's got 480 horsepower with 17.73 horsepower per ton, which is pretty good, but it gets murdered in that terrain resistance. And the terrain resistances aren't that good. And it's what drags the tank down in terms of its mobility. Like I say, 63 km/h top speed never feels like it ever. You tend to go about 45 to 50, which is not slow by any means. Let's be real, it's not slow, but it's not that 63 km/h top speed. It's got an 18km/h reverse speed, which is really good as well. The traverse speed at 34 degrees a second on the tracks is actually really good for a TD. That means you can traverse around and get out if you need to quite easily. The turret traverse, which I didn't go over, is quite slow at 26 degrees a second, but it is a turreted tank destroyer. But yeah, this is a tank destroyer that is absolutely no armour. Its mobility is fairly... I'd probably go on to mediocre to a little bit above mediocre. It hits 45 to 50 for a really weakly armored tank, that is. But that gun and the camo is absolutely filthy. It is absolutely filthy. It's a wonderful thing for the tank. Not so wonderful for tier 10 battles, however. But also 22,000 gold is just utterly crazy. So with the power of OBS, we're going to go to the garage to have a look at what we've got for the commander skills and the equipment setup. Voila, here we are, and here is the SU-152 Taran. It is the Object 120 from Cold War. It's copy and paste, pretty much. That's exactly what it is. It's a paper TD with a massive honking gun, but obviously all the stats in that have been down-tiered for Tier 10 World War II. So in terms of equipment that I run on this tank, I run rammer, camo net, and optics, which means that my steel concealment with my crew skills is down to 237, which is absolutely filthy. And I've got 499 meters view range, which means that it's going to take a lot to spot me, and I can spot my own targets really damn well, which is exactly what you want for this tank destroyer, because this gun is dirty. And as you can see with the crew skills, we've got it down to 0.33 accuracy, 4.37 rounds per minute rate of fire. If I go to the module viewer over here, we'll see it's got 960 shell velocity, which is a little bit slow, especially for firing at distance. But if you can lead your targets well enough and you can get used to leading your targets with that slower shell velocity, you'll have a great time. As you can see, we've got the aim time down to 2.5 with the crew skills, which is still slow, but it's okay. And a 13.72 reload. Now, it's a little bit lower than that because it doesn't count food, which is, like I say, takes it down to about 13.4, I think it is, 13.5, which is absolutely filthy. And as you can see, the average damage per minute is 4.1 thousand, or 4,152, which is absolutely insane. The gun on this tank is nuts. It slaps so hard and you're reloaded so quickly that if you have target discretion, you are going to destroy, and I mean absolutely destroy, the enemy team. It is a filthily long range. It's a filthy tank destroyer for slamming shots in. And like I say, it is a long range one, because if you look at the armor, look, you've got 220mm log on the back because Soviet Russia. But you've got 15mm of armor on the sides. You've got, absolutely no armor. The gun is the most armored part. 30mm on the lower plate on the turret. 10mm on the upper plate. It's got no armor. So don't play this thing aggressively. That is the key to survival in this tank. Don't play it too aggressively and just slap at long range with this gun, because this gun does slap. In terms of the commander that we run for this Taran, I've been running Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Track Mechanic, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Camouflage Expertise, and Silent Driving. Now, because this tank does play fairly long range, it is always great to have that Track Mechanic, because if you get tracked and you don't have your repair kit, you can die very, very quickly. Track Mechanic will obviously get your tracks back on a lot quicker, and you can get away from that. But I've been playing it, and I've been wanting to swap out Track Mechanic for muffled shot, because there's quite a lot of times, because it is a big caliber gun, you do get spotted when you fire, especially when you're firing at light tanks. And when I was running muffled shot originally, I wasn't getting spotted anywhere near as much when I was firing as when I've been running without it. So I'd probably recommend you could run muffled shot over Track Mechanic, and that'd help the gun and stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, this has no armor. You don't want to be getting shot at, so if you're getting shot at, there's probably something gone wrong somewhere. So you could run that instead. But that's my recommendation. That's my base crew skill setup, as always. That's what I recommend as a good base, and then you accustom it to what you like and how you want to play the tank. But yeah, on the whole, this Taran is pretty dirty, to be honest. It's a dirty tank. It's way too expensive. I have no idea why it's not a free XP tank like the rest of the tier 10s. I just don't understand that. Hopefully it'll be available at some point for free XP for most people in the future. Because 22,000 gold is extreme amounts of money. But yeah, so on the whole, this tank is pretty damn nutty. And is it worth it? Well, no, it's not worth that 22,000 gold in the slightest, because no pixel tank in this game is worth that much money. But if you're willing to spend the money, it's absolutely dirty. And we're going to take you over to the replays now so that you can get a look at how the tank plays, and you can see if it is for you, if it's not for you, etc. And you can see how best to possibly play it, and the strengths and weaknesses of it. And like I say, it is a crazy tank, but not worth 22,000 gold. So as always, everybody, I will take you over to the replays, and you can see what it's like there. So here we are in the first of 3 replays in the SU-152 Taran, and this is the very first game I played in the tank. And it's a pretty damn good one. Gave me a good view of what the tank is going to be like as I played it more and more often, and it didn't disappoint the more and more we went. Actually playing the tank, it doesn't disappoint. If you forget the horrendous price tag, the fact that it should be for 450,000 free XP, but it's just not, which is ridiculous, and the fact that it's 22,000 gold, which is just absolutely crazy. It's a good tank. Should it be balanced around having 950 alpha? Hell no, it should not have 950 alpha. It probably would have been better if this tank went in with like 650 alpha and a higher DPM, right? It would have made it different from the 850 TDs that are currently plaguing tier 10. The fact that there's already a lot of 850 alpha TDs plaguing tier 10 and they added another one with 950 is just atrocious, honestly. But it is what it is. In terms of the tank, for you guys, it's a pretty damn good one. The best way to think of it is a tier 10 version of the SU-130 PM, as we slap that Progetto 65 for 967. You're going to be seeing more rolls like that, folks. Honestly. Oof. Yeah. Tier 10 SU-130 PM. Because it's very similar in that ilk. Because it's a tank destroyer that's turreted. And it's back-mounted. And it's Soviet. And it's got a big gun for the tier, right? The SU-130 PM has a 130mm gun with 530 alpha or whatever it is. It hits hard. This tank hits hard for its tier as well. Back-mounted turret, like you say, and it's made of absolute paper. Same as the SU-130 PM. And the camo's really good on this tank, same as it is on the SU-130 PM. So really, if you think about how you're going to have to play it, you play it like the SU-130 PM. Because it's got the same accuracy as the SU-130 PM as well. The only thing it's got worse than the SU-130 PM, in terms of the gun stats, that is the aim time, which is 2.7. So, if you like the SU-130 PM, you're probably going to like this tank at tier 10, because it slaps. It absolutely slaps. And it is more of a backline TD. Because, I mean, 852, right? You hit for 852 into a Super Conqueror, and you think, oh, that's kind of disappointing. If you were playing the 268 version 5 or a 268, you'd be thinking 775. You'd be thinking, oh, I've just hit for me average, or I've just low rolled a little bit. That is a massive low roll. This tank is so satisfying when it slaps, especially when you get those 1,000+ rolls. It's really satisfying. Is it balanced? I don't think it is, to be honest. I don't like how fast this tank reloads with the alpha it's got. And I'm not saying that because I don't like playing it like that. I just don't like the balancing of it at tier 10. I think it adds to what is already a horrendous amount of balancing at the tier. As you see, is slap an IS-7 for 993. Because this thing is going to hit for that 950 very reliably, very consistently, and very regularly. Because as you're seeing here, it's... Okay, it's not 6.8 second reload. That's because food ran out. It's like 13.6. We'll see when we get to fire at someone. We're just aiming for a shot at this Cranvarn. I'll say this is where the paper TD thing is a thing, because we can't get stuck in. If we were in a 268 version 5, we might have been stuck in on that front line trying to save those tanks up there from like F2. But because we're in the Taran has paper armour. And as soon as we get spotted, as soon as we get shot at, they're going to pen us every single time, unless they get unlucky and hit the log of doom. Yeah, so, you know, like, you don't want to be on the front lines. The mistake that people are going to make is think that, oh, this has got 950 alpha. I can play on the front lines, I can slap, and it doesn't matter. Well, you need to save as many, you need to save your hit points, to be honest, to be perfectly effective. Because, like I say, you get penned by everything. HE is a massive, massive problem for you. And all your modules get wrecked quite consistently as well when you get penned, because, say, it's paper and all that sort of stuff. It's very similar to the Griller in that way when it gets penned. And, well, all other paper TDs. Keep yourself towards the back. Keep yourself using concealment and bushes wisely, but always try and keep your gun in the game. There's no point taking a position and just sitting there and thinking, right, this is me for the rest of the time, right? You have to still be aware and put yourself in good positions to make the most of what you can. So that's what we've done. We've got ourselves in a high elevated position. We've stuck ourselves in a bush, and we've managed to shut down the 257 there. And that's where muffled shot helps us. It's probably better to run muffled shot for that because he didn't spot us. We take the risk that we're going to get shot because we want to get that big honking shot into that 705A. And we do take a hit, but we get a nice shot into him. And as you see, it was 12.9 seconds with food boost, the reload, which is nuts. And it's not 9.8. You'll see when we get to fire at this guy, hopefully. We pop a shot, slam it in, and hit that cram bomb for a lot. The team is currently falling apart. We've fired the gun as much as we possibly can to try and help people, but it is what it is. This game's falling apart. We just need to pick targets. As you see, 13.7 second reload. That's without vents. This tank can run vents, and it can be even higher than that. This Progetto, it's like, hello, sir, you've got 800 hit points. Well, I'd have to massively low roll to not kill you, so there we go. We've picked you, Sonny Boy Jim Bob. You're out of here. This FV4005 comes in. Thankfully, he misses on the move. We're dead at this point, so it's like, let's slap this shot in. 945 into the Progetto 66. And we're going to try and run away, but there is no hope for us, unfortunately, and we get shut down by the Progetto. As you see, as soon as you get focused down, you are doomed. But you can slap out that damage so much. And we finish the game with 7,664 damage. The high caliber, second class, 695 base XP on a loss. Isn't the best, but the damage is high. And you saw how lethal this gun is, to be honest, if you can keep it firing. It is lethal. Now, this game is the second game of the video, and we're on Pilsen. Now, Pilsen, not quite the map for a stealthy TD with no armor, right? That's what you might be thinking. Well, I mean, I've had a lot of good games with stealthy TDs, like the SU-152 PM, on maps like Pilsen, because you can still play that peek-a-boom lifestyle. And, oh, that shot into the tux, 910, that poor guy. The one thing that can hold this tank back at distance and leading shots at stuff like the light tanks is the shell velocity. The shell velocity is a little bit poor, but if you, like I say, if you lead your targets well, that 960 shell velocity is not going to affect you that much. You just have to lead. But this is where we're going to try and sit at the back and wait for the targets to get lit up, because I'm hoping that machine will poke up and I can get some big slaps in. Now, like I say, this TD has alpha, right? You don't want to be brawling on the front lines. You don't want to be in positions like on Muravanka where you might have been on that corner having to face tanks that are hull down and stuff like that, and you have to make sure with aiming shots and stuff, as we somehow only do tracks to Tusk in the side, is what it is. Yeah, you know, you don't want to be brawling in that kind of way, but maps like Pilsen give you a certain opportunity, and that certain opportunity is peek-a-boom. So you can poke round the corner of a building, go pop, shoot someone, run away. Because it does have the speed. Now, the problem is it doesn't have the Griller kind of speed where it hits 60 really easily, because it tends to trundle at like 40, 45. But, you know, you can still use it quite effectively. And this is probably a good map to see what the mobility is like on flat, because a lot of the time you're going to be on flat, it's going to be hard terrain, which means, you know, you're going to be able to see what it's like with its engine power. That shot on the Death Star was so unlucky. He stopped. It's like Neo. He full-on Neo'd the shot there just as I pulled the trigger. It flew between his gun and his hull. Really unfortunate. It is what it is. We get a nice shot smashed into the machine to finish him off. We're up to 2.3k damage. And this is the peek-a-boom, right? We're just popping a shot and then pulling back to safety. We're looking for a shot at this King Tiger who looks like he's not bothered. We go for it. Unfortunately, do track damage only to him. Quite surprised by that, because we have 303 pen, which normally just eviscerates everything we shoot at. But, hey-ho, the angles still count, right? So now, this is what I mean. Look, we're on flat ground. We're travelling. We're currently struggling at about 50 kilometres an hour. Little bumps. Other tanks would fly to the top speed. This has a 63 km/h top speed. We're only just about doing 53, 54. If you're on something like off-road driving, you're more than likely going to hit your target pretty easily, but unfortunately, we're just not doing that. As I say, the 63 km/h top speed is a bit of a lie. Don't be taken in by that. But it is what it is. The derpy-ass gun handling when we were fully aimed, well, I'd say nearly fully aimed, while auto-aiming, we weren't quite fully aimed. If we just aimed properly, we probably would have hit that Waffle Panzer IV. But you saw the derpiness of the gun handling a little bit, where it missed that guy. But then, as we came over, we got a fully, well, near enough fully aimed shot straight into the side of the 50 TP for a big hit. Unfortunately, we end up hitting the turret of the UDES. This is where the gun is a little bit derpy, and you're seeing it right now. Obviously, we were unlucky. We probably should have aimed it properly, but we were still a little bit unlucky to not hit that Waffle Panzer IV, and we were exceptionally unlucky not to pen the side of that UDES, and in fact, end up hitting its turret. Now we're waiting for the reload. We've still got the full health, which means we can just do what we want here. We're going to plow in, make sure we aim the shot, slap it in. 1,007. 1,007. Yeah, 1,007 for a standard roll with standard AP. That wasn't even hey cheat, boys and girls. Whew! I'll tell you, when you see rolls like that, it makes you a little bit giddy. You're like, ooh, I like that. Is it balanced? Not really. Is it fun? Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Is it going to be fun to face? Not really. But then the only thing about seeing these tanks when you're facing it is probably the fact that you're going to be able to go, oh, hey, chi, you know. So we find this mouse out in the open. Big slap into his side for over 900. Beautiful. We're going to just pop up on top of this ridgeline and just make sure we aim the shot. We're going to hope that no one kills him, but we do get to shut down the mouse. We'll finish the game with 6.2k damage with the 615 assistance. The epic victory comes second on the team. It's what, 6.8k combined, which is really nice. Making a lot of silver because the tier 10 silver bonus is out and about. Yeah, really nice game for the Taran. On a map that's not really suitable for it, particularly, in the fact that it's Pilsen and it's a very, you know, close range map. But, like I say, you can play Peekaboom, and playing Peekaboom is something that can be a strength as well for the tank. Just make sure you're not getting stuck into too much of a head-on brawl, because like you've seen already, the gun is a little bit derpy here and there if you're not fully aiming your shots. And when you are in those close-range situations, you don't always have the time to aim your shots, and that means you're going to miss. So, you know, you just... like I said, the best way to play it is like an SU-130 PM, but just at tier 10, and it slaps. Big honking slaps. The thing is, you have to know your targets, right? There's a lot of times that you're going to get stuck into brawls towards mid-game where a lot of tanks have lost their health, and because you have that alpha, you can see a tank that's on 880 hit points and go, well, I've got 950 alpha, I should probably kill this guy, and just go in and finish them. And just go, I'm going to kill you. Whereas a lot of other tanks that reload just as quick as you and have similar calibers of guns, as you know, are going to be less than a 50-50 chance to even kill someone like that, you know. So here we are on the third game, and we're on Highway. We've got the worst spawn on Highway, but possibly the best spawn for the Taran, because we're going to be able to just sit here on this ridge and let the enemy team come to us. And from here, we're going to have some great shots. Now, unfortunately, they are all down on this line here. You can see all the shells flying, but there's nobody spotting them. If there was a medium tank that was sat in front of me, or, you know, sat a little bit further down the ridge, they would probably be able to spot all these guys that are shooting right now. Because I'd normally be on this ridge from this spawn, but a little bit more further advanced, and boosting food and that, I would be able to spot them with my view range. But here we go. First target, 5A. Mr. Maniac, Redditor, sorry. I'm so very sorry. There's Mosh Pity in this game as well. There's Mosh Pity. I'm sorry, my friend. No, I'm sorry. Kind of. Oh, 986. Oh. So it's just, it's devastating. But the thing is, he's on 932 hit points now, right? He's actually technically within my range of killing him. Like, I should probably kill him now if RNG favours me, which it doesn't at 880. I should have probably killed him there. That's crazy. That is absolutely nutty to me. And the fact that we've reloaded in under 13 seconds with food boosted is just nuts. Absolutely nuts. And the fact that the camo is so darn good as well, it's kind of crazy. This tank is pretty nutty, right? And it's going to be it is very, very capable of some massive games. You are going to be seeing people put up massive games. But the thing is, you have to play it right, okay? Because it's not going to be like a 268 version 5 that can do it all. That it can, you know, but it doesn't have the best of Armour, the 268 version 5. But it can bounce a fair few shots if you do it right. But you can also... You've got the camo, so you can snipe because it's got similar gun handling. You can do it all, right? Whereas this tank has to be played to its specialised ability. And here you're seeing where camo is a godsend, right? Camo net, the muffled shot when I actually had it on this tank, and the camouflage expertise. I'm shooting tanks with 410 metres view range in that T95 E6. Oh, that poor Indian Panzer. I'm so sorry. Yeah. T95 E6, 410 view range. Or it might even be 420, actually, thinking about it. I think it's 410. He's not spotting me. Same as the Leopard 1. They're not spotting me. I'm firing at these guys, and they're not spotting me, which is a beauty of the camo, like I say. So this T95 E6 pokes out. We pop a big shot into him again. We're up to 6.5k damage in under 4 minutes. I'm telling you, it doesn't take very long to rack up that damage. To get to 5k damage, you're talking what? 5 full pens? Yeah, kind of mental. So we get a nice shot into the Atomic to finish him off. And we're just waiting for the reload because I want to finish off this Leopard. He's pulling back into a position that I can just about get a shot at him. But I can't quite see him because he's pulled back. But there we go. Unfortunately, can't quite get the shot, and there we go. There's 3 tanks left. There's this standard B. It's like, let me just aim a little bit. Oh, thank you, sir, for staying up on the ridge line. 951, nearly 8k damage now. And I'm looking at this going, if these 2 last tanks are decently healthy, I could potentially get 10k here. So we're going for the Rhinoceronte. He's fired 1. And it's like, please fire another one, sir. It's like, okay, well, he's not firing another one, but he's isolated. He can't kill me with 2 shots. He's got awful DPM. I mean, you imagine that I reload in 12.9 seconds for 950 alpha. This man reloads in like 15 seconds for 490. Yeah, absolutely nuts. Utterly crazy, and it's mad that that tank still has such absolutely tragic DPM. And the fact that this can reload in that 12.9 seconds with food boosted, and he has to reload 3 seconds slower for 490. It's just a sad state of affairs for the poor Rhinoceronte. Unfortunately, we missed another shot on this Centurion, and it's like, oh, I could be pushing 9k here. If I had better shot selection, I could have pushed it up so much higher. We're just waiting for the reload, and we managed to slap it in for the last 19 odd damage of that Centurion. Not going to be able to get a shot at the artillery, but we finished couldn't quite breach 9k. But it is what it is. If I had better shot selection, it could have been better, but it is what it is. 8.8k damage, 4 kills. Good silver because silver bonus weekend. Ace tanker, high caliber, 1570 base XP. That is not going to be an ace for very long, I will tell you that now. The SU-152 Taran. What a nutty tank. Ludicrous that it's for 22,000 gold. It's never worth that. Wait for a discount or something like that. Just, yeah, wait for a discount. But it is a great tank. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!